The mic's so hot.
Welcome to our City Commission meeting of March the 28th. Got a nice crowd here. Some students, so good. I'll bet they're artists too, so we might have a new Picasso. Who knows what we have here? Wonderful. We're going to start off with an opening prayer, and it's going to be led by our city attorney, Mr. Nevin Zimmerman. And after that, from the fire department, Mr. William Fuqua is going to come up and lead us in a Pledge of Allegiance. So could you all please stand?
Let us pray. Father, we're just so thankful for today, and we're reminded what a wonderful place this is to live and to have a family, to work, to play. And we're so grateful that you have allowed us to come together to do business that will be the betterment for all of the citizens. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. Thank you for your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Rowan,
Here.
Commissioner Halligus won't be attending this evening. Commissioner Lucas. Present. Commissioner Granger.
Present.
Commissioner Street.
Here.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you. Are there any additions, deletions, or modifications of the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have one from staff. It would be at the very end of the meeting, so it would become 9G, and it would be to discuss changing the time for the April 8th commission meeting on behalf of Commissioner Granger. So that would be 9G. Discussing the April 8th commission meeting. Thank you, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the request from the city manager?
Second.
Very good. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas. Yes. Commissioner Granger.
Yes.
Commissioner Street.
Yes.
Mayor Rowan.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
No more from staff, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Anybody else with proclamation, any awards, changes? Oh, deletions and modifications. I got a step ahead, I'm sorry. All right, we're going to move on to the proclamations then. This is the presentation of awards for Panama City Youth Art Month. This is the winners. This year, over 75 students in Bay County were selected by their teachers to participate in the Panama City Youth Art Competition. Those pieces are being spotlighted on the Martin Marquee and various locations downtown. Of those submissions, 9 elementary, middle, and high school students were selected as first, second, and third place winners. Today, they will receive a certificate from the city along with gift cards to local partnering businesses, which include the Center for the Arts, Point Break Arcade, Dandy D Donuts, Ocean Oriental Market, and the Press. A very special thank to all you and all the teachers that work to support this program. Students, when your name is called, please come to the front with your artwork if you have it, and remain here for photos. So Ms. Kessia from the Department of, Parks, Culture, and Recreation, she's going to help me, and we're going to call the artists up here, and we're going to go through some awards.
Can we hand them to him?
For high school, first place, we have Rebecca from Bay High.
Here.
Congratulations.
For high school, second place, we have Kira from Arnold High School.
Bring the families up with them. Is that?
For third place high school, we have Molly from Dean Bozeman High.
Congratulations.
For first place middle school, we have Aubrey Homeschool. For second place middle school, we have Kayla from Mowat Middle. For third place middle school, we have Deshani from Mowat Middle. For first place elementary, we have Michaela from Deer Point Elementary.
She does. Can we put some over on your side?
Yeah, absolutely. Load them up.
We can swap. Did I say your
Show, that's your art.
beautiful?
Very good. Look at this. Okay. Go over and stand next to him over there, okay?
For second place elementary school, we have Courtney from Tyndall Academy. For third place elementary school, we have Emma from Breakfast Point Academy. Perfect.
All right, look at this. Third place. Okay, you can hold your certificate. Hold both of them. I'm gonna let her hold both of them. Can you hold both of these? Okay.
So we want to get a group picture and then pictures with families?
Yeah, come on, family can take pictures. You jump up in the front? Closer?
Yeah. All right, very good. Okay.
Definitely need the teachers. Good job. Pictures. She got you good?
Congratulations, families, if you'd like to come up and take pictures, and teachers, if you'd like to come up and take pictures.
Do not balance it out at all. We can try to. Room for everybody to come out.
Anybody coming up?
Are we okay picture-wise? Should we move them? We're okay? Okay. She's okay, we're okay. She's
No additions.
the boss. Yeah, you can get, parents can get in here. Sure, come on. Yeah, if parents want to come up with their artist.
I think the city managers this again. Splendid on it. This one.
Oh, yes.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Hey, congratulations. This is your teacher.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. we have a proclamation for landscape architecture. Is there any representative from, okay, can you come on up? Anywhere is good. Landscape architecture is a multifaceted profession that encompasses the analysis, design, planning, management, and stewardship of the natural and built environment, playing a crucial role in shaping the spaces where people live, work, play, and whereas landscape architects design and create community master plans, walkable neighborhoods, multimodal transportation, networks, green stormwater systems, and accessible spaces such as public plazas, parks, schools, residential common areas, playgrounds, and trails that lead to active lifestyles and healthy communities. And whereas landscape architects are STEM professionals leveraging science, technology, engineering, and mathematics knowledge to address the most pressing challenges facing its communities, fostering innovation, research, and leadership in the field. And whereas landscape architects, as licensed professionals, have consistently demonstrated their commitment to public health, safety, and welfare by designing accessible and safe public spaces in the city of Panama City. And whereas landscape architects, as licensed professionals, have played an integral role in shaping the economic, social, and cultural fabric of the city of Panama City, contributing to the creation of vibrant and livable communities that enhance the quality of life for all residents. And now, therefore, I, Michael X. Rowan Sr., by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Panama City, Florida, do hereby recognize the month of April as Landscape Architecture Month. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, can Chief Fleeman come forward? I think he brought a few friends. Maybe he outranks them. Yeah, that's perfect.
No, you're right there.
This is your.
No, don't. You're fine.
We are celebrating the recognition of Chief Jerome Fleeman. Chief Fleeman began his career with the Panama City Fire Department March 1st, 2005. He was promoted to driver engineer February 26th of 2013. He was promoted to fire lieutenant on March 11th, 2014. He was promoted to fire captain December the 1st, 2015. He was promoted to battalion chief February the 9th, 2021. His education and training include Master of Science from Eastern Kentucky University, Richmond, Kentucky. His major was Safety, Security, and Emergency Management. Bachelor of Science from Florida State, Panama City, with a major in Social Science. Associate of Arts, Tallahassee Community College, Tallahassee, with his major there was Associate of Arts. His professional credentials, United States Coast Guard, Licensed Master Captain, 100-ton, Emergency Medical Technician, Florida Department of Health, Weapons of Mass Destruction Response, Department of Homeland Security for Domestic Preparedness, Professional Firefighter 2, Florida Division of State Marshal, FEMA Incident Command System 100, 200, 300, 400, and 700, Advanced Nitrox Cavern Diving Instructor, International Association of Nitrox and Technical Divers, a Diving Medical Technician, National Board of Diving and Hyperbaric Medical Technology, Meritorious Service Award for Leadership in Joint Agency and Water Strike Team, Panama City Fire Department, Unit Citation for Participation in U.S. Army Black Hawk Crash Recovery, Panama City Fire Department, Multi-Agency Training Events, Conferences, and Operations Organized, Joint Agency and Water Scenario, International Association of Dive Rescue Specialists, Public Safety Diving Conference, Operation Black Drum 2017-2018, Post-Hurricane Michael Subsurface Survey of our Marinas. Chief Fleeman's progressive and proactive approach to improve himself, his personnel, and the fire department is evident. He goes above and beyond to encourage his personnel to improve their knowledge, skills, and abilities. He has a positive impact on his crew, the fire department, and the community. He consistently encourages everyone he encounters to be the best they can be. Chief Fleeman continuously displays his commitment to the City of Panama City and the Panama City Fire Department by taking the lead to ensure the fire department is proficient with our current and soon-to-be implemented time management systems. Also, he took it upon himself to learn more about the Fair Labor Standards Act and educated the entire fire department on the specifics of our pay system, including overtime and comp time. Further, he is a member of the Pension Board and is instrumental in the maintenance and operation of the fire department's breathing air cascade systems. Finally, Chief Lehman's dedication to improving the health and safety of firefighters reflects in his research and development of the project titled Examining Hyperoxia to Improve Firefighter Health, Safety, and Performance. It identifies a potential benefit to firefighter health, safety, and performance. This idea has not been previously researched and has valid merit. Chief Fleeman plans to continue his research to prove its validity. So congratulations to Chief Fleeman on his 20 years of service. We appreciate all he's done for the City of Panama City.
Hang on. Yeah, might be there. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Did you all need a picture now?
No, we're good.
Okay. Congratulations.
You want to see?
Of course.
Thank you. Chief. Chief.
Gokachia. Is Miss Gokachia here?
Come on, Tessie.
What's wrong with you guys? Ain't one deal with it? Come on over here, people. Let's even this out. Are you Tessie?
Timesheet Tuesday, Tessie.
Oh, I went down and chased you one day, didn't I? Timesheet Tessie.
Come on up here. So I hide it around that end. That's 3 of the 6 grandkids.
All right, this is Tessie Timesheet Goachia. She started with the city May 14, 2002 as bookkeeper, later accounting clerk payroll. She was promoted to the payroll coordinator on December the 10th, 2016, a position which she held until her retirement on March 17, 2025. That was St. Patrick's Day, wasn't it? During her 22 years with the city, she has processed over 1,000 payroll cycles. Tessie's attention to detail and organization helps ensure payroll is done accurately and timely every week. She follows the policy and knows the employee handbook inside and out regarding payroll. She's responsible for getting W-2 to employees each year. Every week, she sends out the Timesheet Tuesday emails. That's Timesheet Tessie. She monitors the weather and tracks down all levels of employees each week to make sure everyone is paid on time. After Hurricane Michael, she literally was processing payroll from a tent on a homemade desk. Tessie reads and speaks 3 languages fluently and understands another 4 or 5 languages. This was helpful as she served as an unofficial translator for the city. Her coworkers say Tessie is always happy, upbeat, available to answer any questions, and makes newcomers feel welcome and right at home. She is unique because she is the only city employee. Without her, their last name is their email address. That's obvious. After retirement, she will get to spend some time with her beloved children and grandchildren. She and her husband Juan will eventually move to Spain. She will then get to enjoy Juan's cooking and company. For us at the city, we will miss her greatly. Timesheet Tuesday won't be the same without Tessie G. So this is the award to Tessie G, recognizing her retirement after 22 years of service. So Tessie, congratulations.
Thank you.
Just stay smiling. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anybody who wants to take it?
No, I think they're done. Thank you very much.
Shoot me a picture.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Oh, yeah, I'll be here on Thursday. I'll be here on Thursday. Thank you. Wonderful.
All right, under community announcements, let's see, there is community announcement 5. Please stay informed and engaged regarding the latest happenings in Panama City. We encourage you to participate in our diverse range of events, programs, and meetings that are designed to foster a dynamic and connected community. For more details and updates, please visit our website at www.panamacity.gov, or you can also follow the City of Panama City Facebook page. The Panama City Community Redevelopment Agency, or the CRA, will accept survey responses for each CRA district until March 31st. The feedback received will assist the CRA in prioritizing projects and programs that best align with the goals and objectives in each district CRA plan. Please be aware that due to budgetary constraints and Florida state statutes, not all recommendations can be implemented. Feedback results will be posted on the City of Panama City website following the April 15th, 2025 CRA board meeting. Scan the QR code to be taken to the survey links. Just like getting enough sleep or staying hydrated, social connections are essential for both physical and mental well-being. However, finding others who share similar experiences can sometimes be challenging. We invite veterans of all ages and service branches to join Voices, a monthly gathering held on the first Friday of every month at the Glenwood Community Center from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is an opportunity to connect with fellow veterans, learn about community resources, and build new friendships. Admission is free and no reservations are required. We look forward to seeing you there. Join us for a series of engaging community meetings with Keith Mefford, Director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation. It will be in various locations throughout our city. These meetings are a great opportunity to stay informed about the latest developments in our community, including updates on up-and-coming events, progress in park construction, and the status of grants. The next meeting is Thursday, April the 10th, at Panama City Publishing Company Museum in St. Andrews. Doors open at 5:30 and the meeting will commence at 6. Join us on Saturday, April 19th at the St. Andrews Farmer Market for a vibrant Earth Day celebration filled with live entertainment, hands-on activities, and community engagement. Enjoy performances by the Parvana Dance Troupe and Gulf Tones Chorus. And be sure to catch the official Earth Day proclamation reading at 11:30 a.m. Families can take part in free kids crafts, explore educational exhibits from local environmental organizations, and even take home a free tree courtesy of the Florida Forest Service. This is a great opportunity to learn more about sustainability, connect with the community, and celebrate our planet together. The second City Commission meeting in April will occur on Thursday, April 24th, and it will begin at 4 p.m. at the Government Complex here. The City Commission voted to change the date due to the municipal elections falling on the regular commission date of April 22nd. All right, we're now going to move to audience participation. Oh, thank you.
I guess nobody else jump up, I will. Robert Slade, 1334 St. Andrews Boulevard. I got a question, which I'm gonna be quick today. I'd like an answer from each of y'all commissioners and the mayor. And that is where this DOGE coming in, the Department of Government Efficiency coming into Bay County. Is each of y'all willing to say yes to DOGE coming into Panama City at the same time? Thank you.
My name is Victor Battle, that's B-A-T-T-L-E. I live at 1013 Hamilton Avenue. The traffic and for the kids' sake. The kids are playing out there, they're coming down the road 50 miles an hour. I did call down, they said that a sign for kids playing cannot be placed there unless the kid is impaired. Well, regular kids play out there too. And so, therefore, we're requesting speed bumps be placed there on the north side before you get to 11th Street, because someone is going to get run over. So we're requesting that from this committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Battle.
Walter P. Henry, 614 Maple Avenue, Panama City, Florida. I thank God for all the commissioners, the mayor, the employees that the city employed, to give all of us a job. I work for myself. But I just want to thank, sometimes folk would not say anything. I think that sometimes y'all should look at it. Plaque is wonderful. I noticed the plaque that y'all gave today is bigger than the one I had that you gave me for a 30-year plaque. It's a little small one. I think the city could do better. Y'all say y'all love your employees. Y'all appreciate everything they does. That come out of your mouth. Is what you said. I heard it many times spoken out of your mouth. If you love them that much, if you care for them that much, I think somebody ought to look. A plaque is wonderful. Give them a plaque. Try to find something else more appreciated than a plaque for all the work they have put forth to the city of Panama City. City had big, wonderful people have came out of the city, did wonderful things for the city. But look like the only thing they're worth is a plaque. I think it should be give the plaque. I think somebody ought to think about doing something a little bit more than a plaque for these employees. Now, they did better than I did. I didn't even come at mine. Told me y'all wanted to give me one, somebody will bring it to me. And that's what happened. I did not come to receive it.
Thank you, Walter.
George Carruthers, 1702 West Beach Drive. Mr. Mayor, I see no reason for a response to my comments by the city manager because his responsibility is to protect the commissioners and deflect anything controversial. I would prefer my comments to stand on their own merits unless you feel otherwise. First, this Friday is the 2-year anniversary of the Beach Drive homeowners being summoned to room 10 in City Hall to be told the city is moving forward with building a multi-use path along the south side of Beach Drive, and the state has already granted the road to be narrowed to 10 feet, and this is a done deal. We now know it wasn't. Second, the city has all but admitted that the DOT is not going to transfer the road, not now, and I would add, not ever. Why would the city submit a permit request to the DOT to use their right-of-way if they thought they would ever get the road at some point? It makes no sense. If you are not going to get the road, why don't you say it? Also, the city has not prepared any drawings for the path if they do not get the road. I don't think it can be done because there's insufficient right-of-way. Third, the city has released last-minute revisions to the width of the road just days before the residents vote on a binding but non-binding referendum. To me, this has all the earmarks of an attempt to influence the vote. Also, the city has suddenly thrown up a smokescreen about bay sabers, inaccurate reporting on the number of trees, and the notion that there was a vision for a boardwalk in the 1920s. That vision died 100 years ago. Lastly, these comments are directed at Commissioner Lucas and Commissioner Granger. You are the most recently elected to this body. During your campaigns, you promised to do everything you could to improve roads, sidewalks, flooding, and infrastructure in your wards. Today, you can vote to instruct your city manager to file a request to repurpose the remaining Beach Drive grant money for a like purpose in your wards. This is instead of building a path that nobody wants. The House Appropriations Committee has appropriated this grant money simply as Panama City sidewalk improvements. in House Bill 9087, because that's what the city requested. If you walk out of here today without doing this, you're denying your residents $3.5 million for each ward. In addition, if you take no action, it will be apparent that you are protecting the other two commissioners to the detriment of your own community.
Thank you, George.
Good afternoon, Patty Sunday, 11:15 Fairland. Okay. There's an item on the agenda today, which was a letter of interest for Glenwood, which I proposed last year for a client. I wanted to take this 2 minutes and 43 seconds to explain why that parcel did not make sense with private capital. It has to do with the cuss word of economic development, which starts with a P, parking. So the parcel was so small that when you put in the water, the detention pond, in order to have enough units for mixed use, which the plan was going to be retail on the bottom and residential on the top, that the infrastructure would have had to go underground, and the parking would have had to go underground. And then to have 9 units, that would have been 3 stories high. It got to 1.7 million. That meant to make 3% profit at $1,800 a month for a 1-bedroom, which is not market appropriate, if nothing changed, and commercial rates would have been $2,000 a month. So I think I just wanted to share that. I'm always penciling. I think that day I actually even came and passed out something on that particular parcel, and it's just one opinion. Had we blocked off the road, which is, whoa, kind of edgy, but could be cooled over, Cole had some of those, and used the former police substation and drawn a much bigger square, that did pencil. So thank you for accepting the letter. Thank you for putting it up for bid. I apologize. We tried to pencil it every way we could, but as you know, parking for mixed use is everything, and then parking becomes a lever that hits your infrastructure. Y'all are doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Good afternoon, Michelle Bryant, 409 East 9th Street. You guys don't want to talk to me today, huh?
Technical issues.
Okay. Do you want me to wait?
Just one more. Powered everything down.
Yeah, just one moment.
I can speak loud.
We won't start your time yet.
Ours went down too.
Is it?
So we got a reboot. There we go.
We're good?
Yeah, we're live again this morning.
Okay. Michelle Bryant, 409 East 9th Street. I just have 2. One is well, actually, both of them are questions. Wanted to get an update regarding the golf carts in the Glenwood. I know we met with the city manager and the commissioner for Ward 2, and I know there was going to be conversations with the mayor and the remaining commissioners, so wanted to get an update on that and where we were. The second thing, about 4 or 5 months ago, I was at a CRA meeting, and I brought up the issue regarding the Rosenwald tennis courts. Just to bring you guys up to speed, back in 2022, the then city manager, the then Quality of Life, now PCR department, as well as the CRA, was working to get the tennis courts at Rosenwald revitalized for a community joint effort to allow services for the community. I actually attended a school board meeting that was before today, but Mr. McQueen is in Orlando. I didn't get a chance to get a latest update. The last time he and I spoke, the school board was still very interested in creating and completing that joint effort. And the last thing on that it had been signed and was just waiting for the city to approve. So we want to get an update to see where the city is with getting the Rosenwald tennis courts up to date so that we could get that to be an asset to the community. We have spoke with many members within the community who are willing to volunteer and are ready to get this thriving tennis court up and running, especially so that it could work in conjunction with the new and upcoming MLK Rec Center. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Michelle.
Good afternoon. Brenda Lewis Williams, what? I thought I heard somebody say something. 1007 North Center Avenue, Panama City, Florida, 32401. As I went over this agenda today, I'm disappointed in whether it was staff, commissioners, or whomever put together the parameters for Citizens Advisory Committee for the Parks. Now, the first point, 5 members, I don't have a problem with that. The second bullet point, members must be city residents. That should be a period and nothing to follow. You've added county residents or those who own city property or have paid a city business tax receipt. You're taking every citizen in this city out. I don't know who attempted to sweeten the pot to keep citizens from participating. Members must show evidence of experience or proficiency in real estate, land development, parks maintenance, or operations, facility, or property management. That needs to be struck. The average person who would sit on that advisory committee is not going to have any of that. And actually, you're playing us for a fool. The committee scope should be limited to designation of premier parks, whatever that means. That's not explained. This needs to go back to the drawing board and revisited and rewritten. Suggestions of park closures, we've heard that before. The city manager has suggested there are too many parks in Panama City, and that very well may be true. Suggestions for parks realignment. That doesn't tell us anything. Activities to be conducted within a 6-month time frame to evaluate community interests and preferences include. Now, this was a Mondugal here. Develop and distribute surveys, conduct Charette's Town Hall style meetings in appropriate community areas, perform analysis of data collected and reporting. That can stay in there. The only ones that should be in there for all practical purposes for what we requested as a Citizens Advisory Board is 1, 2, and 5. And let me make it perfectly clear. I have no desire whatsoever to sit on any board, period. So don't think that this is something that I'm pushing for me. I don't want a job. You all are my job, you want to know the truth. But I have no desire whatsoever to sit on a board. This is an insult to the citizens because you're not including the citizens. You're looking at an elite requirement that most of the citizens in Panama City do not fit. You took the citizens. May I have 30 more seconds and I'll be finished.
Would somebody like to make a motion to give Ms. Brenda Lewis Williams 30 more seconds?
So,
Second.
Thank you.
Wait a second.
I know.
Can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
I'm reminded that when CRA came into effect, only persons who could participate on CRA were citizens of Panama City. The same should be for Advisory Committee for Parks and Recreation. It should not be folks outside of Panama City. Now, if you're doing Panama City, Bay County, Panama City, that's different. But if you're including all residents of Bay County, that's not equitable in reference to the citizens of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Hank Pickin, 820 West Beach Drive. Start by wishing everybody a happy anniversary because this Friday is the 2-year anniversary of the day that the residents of West Beach Drive were summoned to the basement of City Hall and told this path was a done deal. We're going to do this. The state has given us the road. It's going to happen. Just tell us what you want to do in the way of improving the designs. The option of not having a path is not an option. And that's 2 years ago, and this continues continues and continues. I'd like the record to show that although I asked a series of questions last week and I was promised answers by Commissioner Street, he has not reached out to me and answered any of my questions. He has not phone called me. He has not emailed me. I have not heard peep from Commissioner Street. I would also say I don't do Facebook, so if he's put something on Facebook, I wouldn't know. And I think it's important to know that it's not just me that wants answers to these questions. There are 3,100 people who have signed a petition that say, don't build this path. They deserve an answer to these questions. There are also 13,000 vehicles a day that pass on West Beach Drive, and those passengers in those vehicles deserve an answer. And next month, there'll be about 4,500 people that'll come to the polls. Last year, the last time there was a municipal election, we had 4,600 people vote. Those people certainly deserve an answer to these questions. But before I give Commissioner Street another opportunity to answer these questions, I'd like to quote something from President Thomas Jefferson. He once said, "A well-informed electorate is the best defense against tyranny." Keep that in mind, because what I've done is I've reduced these questions to simply 3. I'll pass them out to the clerk. What does it mean that you think the path is on the brink of failure? Have you been told that the state will not transfer West Beach Drive, Business 98, Highway 30? And can the Bay Saver projects proceed without the path? That particular question has a very interesting fog right now. There have been statements made that says they can't put the Bay Savers in without the path. We've also seen comments from the city that there's a separate grant for $8 million to put the Bay Savers in. And interestingly enough, I have a copy of one of the last pages of the original grant in which there is a line item number 3.11. There's a miscellaneous stormwater piping and fixtures
Thank you, Mr. Picken. Appreciate it.
Another 30 seconds.
All right. Anyone feel in the mood to give Mr. Picken 30 seconds?
A motion to approve 30 seconds.
All right, I'll second that. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
30 seconds, sir.
Yeah, that line item 311 is in the estimate of the cost of the path, and it's a sum total of $480,000 for 16 of these piping fixtures that are referred to. I think we all need to know whether or not the path and the Bay Savers are separable. And I know Commissioner Street has said on several occasions that he's uncomfortable answering these questions, but there's another president, his name was Harry Truman, and he said, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Picken. You got 35 seconds, you know.
I still have 35?
No, you used 35 seconds.
Daniel Schultz, 330 Mercedes Avenue, Panama City, Florida, candidate for Ward 1. I had the pleasure of attending the meeting last night at City Hall in Room 10 about the reopening of Harris Avenue and Cherry Street, and I just wanted to say that I think you guys did a good job. I think we had some really great productive conversations. We saw some real in-time problem solving from neighbors in that neighborhood, and I think we need to see more of that. So thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, city staff.
Thank you, Daniel.
Good evening, Brandon Henderson Jansenius, 1904 Tyndall Drive. I will reiterate exactly what Daniel just said. A major appreciation to Jonathan Hayes and Jenna Halligus for the Cove Town Hall meeting last night. Great job facilitating some conversations with neighbors. Our Facebook page, so I manage the Cove Facebook page. We have 2,000 folks on our page. One of our rules is we don't disrespect, but we do allow healthy conflict. So politics is engaged on our site. So I think you saw that last night. We can engage in healthy debate and conversations and be a part of the solution. So I definitely appreciate that. A couple other things, some interesting polls that we've done inside the Cove neighborhood, specifically to golf carts in Glenwood. 60% of our pollers want to see golf carts in Glenwood. So I appreciate you guys taking the time, Jonathan and Ms. Lucas, to meet with me, Michelle, and Ms. Brenda Lewis-Williams. We're going to keep pushing for this. We're hoping you guys get this on the agenda within a month or so. Like, let's bring that inclusivity into Glenwood. We're looking forward to that. Another polling item was 87% of our pollers inside of the Cove want to see Beach Drive happen. They are super excited about the environmental benefits, the bay savers, the native plantings. They felt that their voices have been heard over the past 2 years with the city meetings. The chatter is phenomenal. So 87% of the Cove. We will be showing up to vote for that referendum, and we would love to have the entire support of this dais behind us, that whatever direction this referendum goes, everybody supports. And Mr. Mayor, that would include you. We're asking for your support, that if this says yes on the referendum, it moves forward with your 100% support. Let's see. One other thing, actually two more. Kudos to Keith Mefford for always answering his emails. I sent him an email earlier this week to turn back roses in some of the parks on the Cove, immediately on it, so I definitely appreciate that. And then the final thing for me is I do meet the qualifications for joining the advisory committee for the Parks and Recs. So landscaping, commercial background is actually what I've been doing professionally in Bay and Walton County for the past 10 years. So I'm expressing my 100% interest in joining that advisory board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek Thomas, 1100 West 10th Street. I live near Beach Drive, and I am personally not in favor of it. I think the majority of the people that live right there aren't in favor of it. There isn't enough parking for the people that don't live there, and so I think it's a huge waste. Looking around the city, Gulf Avenue and most of the roads south of 15th Street that go north-south really need to be repaved, and they have been for more than 20 years that I've lived here, and I'm still waiting to see any of that happen. There's also the Rails to Trails, or Gales Trails, that have, about 10 years ago, the county approved giving up all of the ad valorem taxes for those railroads in exchange that this city would have permission and have an easement to develop those. You've put in massive housing, and you were talking about putting in a fee for transportation. But the people that have really caused the problem are exempt from that because they were already finished. And the ones that you're allowing in the future are also massive high density, so you're charging lots of money to other people to make up for that, and I think that's wrong. I think that you should put a trail that would actually help the public and connect all of the high density with downtown. I'm not going to say anything nice this time about the people in the parks, because last time that's all you responded to, that I said something nice about what you did. I'm still waiting after 6 months to find out about the sewer lines that have to be manually cleaned out. That's not a functioning system. I think that there's a lot of other people. I would like to know how many other people have a situation where the city was paid and didn't hook it up correctly, and now the city is manually removing them. I think you're just going to do that until the 2-year statute of limitations is up, and when they can't sue you, you're just going to leave it to them to fix it or pay you again. I think that that's wrong. I think that you should answer that question. I don't think the clerk would know how you're spending the money. She gets the receipts and tells how much money was spent. But whether or not it's being done is a thing that I think the city manager should be addressing. Also, that ditch, I told you at the time, it wasn't going to work. It didn't work. A hurricane 600 miles away was enough to flood the neighborhood because they spent 3 times the amount of money and put a 2-foot wide ditch that didn't connect the well with the drain. So it doesn't work. That went way over the property line into somebody else's property that they can't even access the back of their property. I would like to see the work order for that. The person doing the work said that he was from out of town. It turns out that he's been working here for 40 years. It's the same thing. Every time I deal with the city, I get stories that change every week. I get answers that don't make sense. I would like to get the work orders for those jobs, and I would like to know how many people are having their sewage manually removed. And I'd like to know, what is the actual vote going to be when we vote for the trail or not? Is it going to be just take the money or send it back, or are you going to ask if we can repurpose that?
Thank you,
Because that's what it
Darius.
should be.
Appreciate your comments. All right, audience participation. Going, it's over. Now we're going to let Mr. Hayes start working on the answers. A lot of questions were raised.
First up was Mr. Robert Slay. He directed a question about the Department of Government Efficiency to the elected officials. So I'll defer to you guys, or if you want me to move on, Mr. Mayor, let me know.
Well, his question was, would we approve of it? I'm not sure I caught the whole question, but I'd like to answer him if I know what the question is.
Yeah, just would we be, I didn't write down exactly what word he used, but basically would we be in support of it? Would we cooperate? Would we be okay with it? Specifically Doge, I'm assuming that the reference is more to some of the conversations coming out of Tallahassee.
Would anybody like here to say answer one way or the other? I would support it. I would support it also. It sounds like a government efficiency thing, and I agree with you. That's good. Anybody else want to say yay or nay?
At this point, I would not support it.
I don't have an issue with it.
So is that just a nothing or no comment?
I think it was just a question.
Okay, I didn't hear it. I'm not trying to be smarty.
All right, second up was Mr. Victor Battle. He is on Hamilton Avenue and raised some concerns about traffic and speeding, so already worked with the police department. We'll look at doing some traffic studies in and around 11th Street in Hamilton Avenue to get the data that we need in order to make a good long-term decision for the safety of that neighborhood. Mr. Walter Henry.
What's our policy on speed bumps? He said he talked to me before the meeting and said he thought, I don't like speed bumps personally, but Mr. Battle thinks.
Yeah, so the city
speed bumps would be
policy.
good. Is there a policy?
Yeah, there is,
that
Mr.
we
Mayor.
can
So
tell
we really
everybody
don't
so everybody know?
we don't do speed bumps anymore.
Okay.
They're really, believe it or not, they're actually counterproductive. And I understand that's counterintuitive, but people kind of come up to them and they either just blow through them really super fast, or they hit the brakes right at the last minute, and then as soon as they're over them, they punch it again. And so that's kind of why you've seen efforts, to kind of narrow the lanes a little bit and try to calm traffic that way. Obviously, we can't have a cop on every street, but we try to actively patrol, especially where there's areas. If there are traffic studies that are requested, we do those. We also initiate some of those ourselves based on feedback that we receive from the elected officials, and then we can kind of do we need to look at the speed limit? Do we need to look at maybe creating additional intersections where people can feel they can safely both ingress and egress onto those roads? But I think that's kind of part of the part of our challenge is we want to kind of get away from a lot of these roads in the city that are honestly wider than like US Highway 231 or I-10 to that end. So we don't do the speed bumps anymore. We have a few left. We've pulled pretty much all of them up because they end up becoming a maintenance nightmare, and then they end up actually damaging cars and not necessarily slowing them down, kind of having that opposite effect. So again, a traffic study is the appropriate next step to get data rather than just anecdotal comments or observations. We'll study that for about a week. We'll track all the data, the speeds, the number of cars and everything, and then we'll use that both between the city manager's office, Public Works, and the chief of police to kind of come up with a long-term decision and modification in that area.
Okay, nobody likes to get a ticket, but that might be the answer.
I mean, depending on what you're doing, and if there's an officer that observes it, absolutely. So.
Okay, well, thank you. Did you get that, Mr. Battle?
I heard it.
Okay, good.
Yep, so. All right.
We do too.
Yeah, and next up was Mr. Walter Henry, made, excuse me, made some comments about the plaques and honoring the employees, and felt the city could do a better job of honoring both milestones and retirees. And then next up was Mr. Carruthers, again expressed his opposition to the Beach Drive sidewalk. He did speak to the width of the road issue, and I don't mind briefly speaking to that. I'm not aware of the FDOT stating that the road transfer was a done deal. There was a process, and I know throughout most of 2024, we were waiting on the final step in that process, which was a public meeting. They have indicated at this time they don't desire to transfer the road because of some of the larger truck issues and ensuring they remain accessed there. And so they've asked us to tweak the plans to, and this is what we've published, to now be 11-foot lanes. And so that's what we've put out. And again, and I believe I've stated this, there were two options forward. If the road had transferred to us, we could have proceeded without getting any additional permission from the DOT. We could have moved forward with it. However, since they're not going to transfer at this time, then the other option is that they grant us a right-of-way construction permit to construct the Beach Drive sidewalk inside of their maintenance right-of-way. So,
are there final plans on that?
Well, there's the...
Or do we have to get new engineering, or do we...
We will have to make some modifications. So we've done some, what I would call, I'm not an engineer, but basically just some, what's the right term, Clint? Conceptuals, thank you, to modify it to show the 11-foot lane, and so that will cause us to move the curb much less, and so therefore the trail will be anywhere from 8 foot to 12 foot, depending on where it is. We have more maintenance right away and more a city platted right away, more on the west end and less on the east end as you get up to Johnson Bayou, past Balboa, and come up to 6th Street. So the high-level conceptuals have been modified. We've had a preliminary meeting with FDOT to kind of look at those, and once they indicate we can proceed forward, then we'll look at moving forward with a broader redesign.
Okay, so there still are conceptual plans that have to be made, or have we already made them?
No, those are what I emailed those to everyone on the dais, and that's also what's on the website right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so the FDOT has indicated that they will only consider it with 11-foot lanes. So that's why we've modified that.
Do the bay savers have to be part of this deal? It seems like the bay savers have produced an element of confusion to me anyway.
Yeah, well, so again, the reason why we kind of looked at the cost estimate of the grant, and we had, the estimate to absorb the bay savers. The only reason we were entertaining it was because we were going to move the curb, and so there's going to be some disruption along that south side anyway for the existing drainage inlets and the outfalls and all of that. So in doing that, we just felt it made sense to add this environmental component to it. If we choose not to do that, the DOT could come in today, and I know one of them did make that statement. If it was purely their project, they could come in and simply just do the sidewalk without any environmental resource permit or any permission from DEP if we choose not to do the environmental component. That's the only reason that we've gone to the Department of Environmental Protection, is because we want to put in these 17 bay savers. If anything, those would potentially be pulled out of the project and just proceed with the sidewalk. But I think, and again, I think our design engineers and I think both appointed and elected officials in the past at the beginning of this effort realized that if we are going to disrupt that southern curb, it does make a lot of sense to make this improvement for those outfalls. Right now, we're just all the particles and all the sediment and all the wash-off is going right into the bay. So hopefully I've answered that.
You did well. Does the DOT have to approve of these new plans?
They do, yes, sir. They're going to review. They've already kind of done a preliminary review. if the commission, if we do decide to move forward with the project, we'll have to go in there and modify the plans from an engineering perspective in order to effectuate and influence the actual construction documents, because we're changing what was originally designed. So we did have 100% plans back in October, but those were with the 12-foot path the entire way, and also the lanes in between 10 and 11 foot. So we would have to make some modifications, not near as much, because again the bulk of the work is done. But yes, they would have to grant us a right-of-way construction permit in order to build it, and that's a process that we've begun with them.
Very good, thank you.
Yes, sir. You're welcome, Mr. Mayor. And then Ms. Patty Sunday spoke to, I believe it was 7F is what she was speaking to under consent, the consideration to reject the bid submissions for the request for proposal PC 240423 at 2215 East 3rd Street. I think she was just explaining, why her and her clients chose not to respond to that. It was some of the challenges with that as it relates to economic development. Ms. Bryant asked for an update on the golf carts. We are moving forward with that. I need to get with legal and look at some of the draft maps, but we are proceeding with that. I think our goal is to bring that maybe at either the second meeting in April or sometime in May to move that forward. Just a lot of moving parts around that. Plus, with there were some other questions in regards to maybe trying to educate more on some of the golf carts in current areas, and so we're trying to get all of that squared away before we move forward, but it is moving forward and it's still in the hopper. She asked about the Rosenwald tennis courts. So my understanding of this, and I would ask either Mr. Jones or Ms. Waldron to please correct me if I'm incorrect, but so we have these temporary kind of covers on top of the tennis courts at Oakland Terrace. There was an agreement that once we get to the point where we actually fix the Oakland Terrace, the permanent foundation the permanent base for those, then potentially moving those over to Rosenwald, to those tennis courts. But there's no plan in the short term for that permanent fix at Oakland Terrace. Once that happens, I think we're going to have to study the exact agreement, and if the city legally committed ourselves to that, that's obviously something we would honor. But I don't know if he wants to add anything to the permanency of whatever agreement, or was it just a verbal?
No, there is an agreement between the city and the school board. And I believe it says that we would maintain the fields over at Rosenwald, and it's a joint use agreement to be able to use those facilities. And you're right, the plan was to, once we were able to permanently renovate and improve the tennis courts at Oakland Terrace, we would move the sports courts over to Rosenwald is the plan. And I know we were going after a grant for the Oakland Terrace tennis courts. So we haven't, I don't know if we weren't successful with the grant. So we have to seek other funding to be able to do the tennis courts at Oakland Terrace in order to do that.
I believe that was a budget cut from this year, if I'm correct.
Well, we had the grant match in there, but we were not successful with getting the grant.
Additionally, backing up a touch on the golf carts, you're talking about golf carts in Glenwood. Can we look at golf carts in Glenwood and downtown? Because I think the people in Glenwood want to get to downtown on their golf carts. I believe that's the plan. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but part of the challenge is, and we've talked about this with Commissioner Lucas and also with the police chief, but you've kind of got, Glenwood is kind of, you've got Highway 77, MLK Boulevard, kind of, right in the middle, and then you have US 98 at the top, and then you kind of have Business 98. So, you're technically, with a golf cart, not supposed to cross state roads. And so there is some question that we might be maybe encouraging that, and as safety is paramount in what we do, we just want to be mindful of that. And we are, as a reminder, in other areas, we're concurrently working with FDOT to kind of get through this process on what it takes and how long of a process it is to identify crossings where you can cross with a golf cart or a low-speed vehicle on a state road. We've not successfully been granted that yet, so honestly, I would like to understand, from DOT's perspective, the criteria, and so our engineering division and Public Works is working with DOT on that right now. So that's obviously going to be a factor in Glenwood because it really has, kind of three sides of U.S. highways around it. And so, and obviously, a couple of those are, major 4-lane highways with turn lanes and raised medians and everything. So I think, we just want to make sure we think through that. But there is, there is a draft map, and our plan is to move it forward sometime in the next, 4 to 6 weeks.
Have we spoken to the people in the Glenwood community? Would they be happy if they just had to stay in Glenwood? Because, that's certainly a start, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, so as Mr. Henderson spoke, he did come with constituents, Ms. Bryant and Ms. Lewis Williams. As far as other support, I would defer to the commissioner that represents that ward. I know she's out and about all the time, but I think there is generally support for it.
Even if we couldn't cross the busy roads, which is probably a good idea not to cross the busy roads.
Well, correct. It's not safe, and it's also against the law. So we want to be careful not to encourage that. And we have talked about better ways to inform citizens across all of Panama City. Some of the rules and regulations, and it does get a little confusing when you're talking about golf cart versus low speed vehicle, and so we're mindful of that as well.
And Mr. Mayor, there are families and increasing numbers of families with street legal golf carts currently in the Glenwood and Millville neighborhoods. At our recent Glenwood Community Appreciation Day, Saturday the 15th, there were 2 families who came in street legal golf carts, and I was very pleased to see that because it says that there is an interest, as Ms. Bryant has been maintaining.
If it's street legal, I think you're supposed to get a license and all that kind of stuff. I think you can actually cross the roads. Isn't that?
Yes.
Natalie's, okay. So actually with a street legal, which is really a low-speed vehicle.
But that speaks to the interest in the neighborhood.
Wonderful.
That you were asking about.
Yes, ma'am. I got it.
Yeah, you don't necessarily, Mr. Mayor, you don't really need a special district for a legal.
Sure, right. You can take it anywhere.
Well, not anywhere. There are some limitations with the low-speed vehicle as well, but yeah.
My question was sort of, would the Glenwood community, as a first step, be happy just to have the golf carts in the community? Because I would think that'd be a good start to me, but I don't live right there.
So, yes.
Okay, good. Glad to hear that. Got to start somewhere.
All right, next up, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Brenda Lewis Williams spoke about the Citizens Advisory Committee around the Parks, Culture and Recreation Department. She takes issue with a number of the items and expressed specifically which items she thought, should have been modified or should have been left out, and expressed that, she does not desire to serve on a committee. She just wants the committee to be the best for the community. So I know that you guys will be discussing that, sir, later in the commission meeting. But she did express, again, her disapproval of the overall format. Mr. Hank Picken next spoke and expressed, again, his opposition to the Beach Drive sidewalk. And he spoke to, and I think I answered his question earlier about kind of extracting the environmental component and the bay savers out of the project. So that was his question. I don't believe it was Mr. Carruthers, but that's been addressed. And then he also addressed a number of the elected officials as well, Mr. Mayor.
Yes or no question? So I'd like the record to reflect, since Mr. Pickens did, that I did try to go and talk to him after the last meeting, but he had left. I will offer the same thing today during our break. We can talk, and I'm more than happy to answer each and one of those questions, whether that's through a Facebook post, whether that's through an email, however you feel that that's appropriate, just not here. And that's what I communicated last time. I will still continue to communicate that.
Yep. All right, Mr. Mayor, next was
Before we go on, are there any public records regarding the DOT, whether they've given permission or not permission? Is there public records that can be reviewed to find out what's been going on and when it's been going on?
I mean, there's a number of communications between myself and Mr. Gaynor and Mr. Tim Smith, who are senior officials with DOT. The communication was they've reached out to us. We've scheduled meetings where they've expressed that they would like to, instead of transferring the road, look to partner with the city. And they've indicated the 11-foot lanes. And so I'm sure there's some emails in regards to coordinating that meeting and then us doing some of the slight modifications to the conceptuals to kind of show them, what that might look like. I'm sure there are some emails and there's also some calendar meetings between city staff, the design engineer, and DOT on that.
Okay, so they could be accessed then?
They absolutely could, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Schultz spoke next and gave kudos to the city and to Commissioner Halligus for the town hall that we hosted last night, which will be about an item soon on the agenda regarding road closure of North Harris Avenue around Cherry Street Elementary. And that he wants to see more of that. Mr. Henderson also said the same thing in regards to the event last night, expressed his, re-expressed his support for golf carts, not just the low speed vehicles, but golf cart friendly neighborhood in the Glenwood community. He discussed the active Facebook activities and debate that is encouraged, as long as it's based on truth and respect, is something that he feels is appropriate on social media and in the neighborhood, and then expressed kudos to Keith Mefford for being responsive to his emails and phone calls, and then he expressed his support of the Parks Citizens Advisory Committee and expressed a desire with his background and passion to serve on that committee. And then last but not least, Mr. Thomas spoke about Gales Trails and Rails to Trails. So we do have a master map that shows all of the trails and all the plans we're working on. I believe that is on the website. It is. Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. And so you can kind of see the broader plan for the city to do the connectivity, not just in between St. Andrews and downtown, but all over Panama City, even linking in with what's coming over the bridge from the county. He expressed his opposition to the path and spoke about 2 years statutes of limitations and manually cleaning out sewer lines. I honestly, I don't have any idea what we're talking about there, but I'll be happy to check with Mr. Murphy on that. And again, I just want to remind the board that Mr. Thomas has Mr. Murphy's cell phone, and Mr. Murphy has repeatedly offered to meet him in the field and address any issues and answer any questions if Mr. Thomas would so desire. Those are the 11 comments of audience participation, Mr. Mayor.
Derek commented about having the suction truck suction out a sewer near him like very frequently, like almost daily. And does that happen? And do we do it a lot over town? And it seems like it might be kind of expensive.
If there's a particular lift station, and if we have a number and there's challenge with it, occasionally a vac truck will have to go in there if there's some type of failure. But sucking out random sewer lines, it would have to be a manhole cover or a lift station that would have some type of failure. But most of the lift stations that have challenges, we have about 130 lift stations, and almost 100 of them are getting, in between 80 and 100 are getting a lot of work right now between city resources and the roughly 16 million in operations that Utilities Fund has to manage and refurbish and maintain the lift stations, as well as grants from HMGP, CDBG, the DEP, SRF, and so we're redoing a lot of those. But if a lift station has frequent problems, that's when you'll see the big generator-looking machine outside of it, which is a temporary bypass pump. And instead of relying on the pumps of the lift station, we're utilizing the temporary bypass to move it. So again, I served as Public Works Director for 2 years. When he says sucking out sewer lines, I don't really know what he means by that. So I think the best thing would be to meet Mr. Murphy and our underground utilities superintendent in the field and answer his questions. So
I will ask Mr. Murphy, because Derek says that somebody cleans this thing out like every day. That seems a bit excessive to me, but if you got to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, it could potentially be a lift station, like I said, but when you say sewer pipes, we don't, yeah, so.
I think he's talking about a manhole.
Possibly, so, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to enter into the record, Mr. Pickens has left. I was accused of not answering a question. The same situation happened last year. I can't answer someone's question that leaves. Thank you.
Okay.
Last meeting.
Pardon me?
Last meeting.
Last year.
I have his phone.
No, last meeting, yeah.
Thank you for the correction.
I have his phone number, so I'll pass it on to
It
you.
would be great. That's fine.
No.
And that was it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Who handles the consent agenda? Let's see.
You drive the boat on that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Although I do have a comment, once you would allow me to, sir.
Let's see, does anyone want to pull any items from the consent agenda?
I motion we approve the consent agenda.
A second.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I might just add, in my one-on-one briefings with y'all, we talked about 7C, the special event application for This Will Defend 5K. I miscommunicated that to y'all, I misunderstood. I thought that was an outside group that we were helping. That's actually a city-organized event. So just want to make sure that that's clear, and so that's why it's on consent, and that recommendation from staff stands. So that is a city-organized event, not one that we chose to partner with an outside nonprofit.
Okay, so that's a city event as opposed to an outside event.
Yep, so appropriate for it to remain on consent, sir.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion regarding the consent agenda? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas? Yes. Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. I think before we move on to the city clerk, we're going to have about an 8-minute interruption, so take a break.
From Burke Construction, I don't have, we'd have to ask them the firm subs and everything. Burke is the principal contractor, as you know. Yes, ma'am.
All right, break time is over. Back to work. It looks like, Ms. Smith, looks like you're on deck.
Thank you, Mayor. At the January 28th, 2025 City Commission meeting, staff were directed to create a framework for a Citizens Advisory Committee for the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department for a period of 6 months for the specific purpose of consolidating parks. So the treasurer, the assistant city managers, the director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation met to discuss the framework, and we loosely based it on the organizing documents of the planning board and each of our visions of the committee. We have presented the following recommendations for the mayor and commissioners' consideration. Obviously, you can add, delete, change as your heart's desire, but our recommendations include that 5 members selected by each one of the mayor and commissioners and appointed by the commission as a whole. So each member would nominate a board member, and then the commission as a whole would approve the nomination. Members must be city residents, or they could be county residents who own city property, or county residents who have paid a city business tax receipt. Not all county residents, only those that own property or have paid a city business tax receipt. And maybe that's not worded very clearly. Members must show evidence of experience or proficiency in real estate, land development, parks maintenance or operations, facility or property management. Our thoughts were that the board, since it's a limited period of time, we would want people in there who could get started right away without a lot of, a big startup.
Learning curve.
Learning curve, there you go, that's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. The committee scope should be limited to the designation of premier parks, or those parks that the city should try to, emphasize as where funding should be focused on. Suggestions for park closures, suggestions for parks realignment, if there's any parks that could be combined, or any realignment of those parks, maybe change the functionality based on where they're located. The activities to be conducted within the 6-month time frame is to evaluate community interest and preferences. We thought that the committee could develop and distribute the surveys. They could conduct the charrettes and town hall style meetings in the areas where the parks are located, and then perform the analysis of data and collect it, and then report the findings to this body.
Thank you. That's represents a body of work, I'm sure. To look at this, why don't we let each one of the commissioners speak? And, once we've all spoke, then we can speak again, or we can see where we go after that. So would anyone like to lead it off? And as Ms. Smith said, we can add to this, or we can take away from it. And I'm sure everybody has some ideas. So appreciate your hard work. I hope we don't turn you down all over the place, but don't feel bad.
Just a suggestion.
Yes, ma'am, I got you. Okay. You want to speak first, Jonathan? You're not a commissioner.
I know, but I just know.
You're going to try to give us a little direction?
Only thing I would say is that I know, and the clerk was functioning at y'all's direction on the 6 months. I would probably say this should be more like a one-year effort, if y'all would consider that in your deliberation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you want to lead it off? It doesn't matter.
That's okay with you, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I agree with Jonathan that I think 6 months, if we're going to do anything like this, 6 months is too short of a time frame. I think 12 months is adequate, mainly because when you're looking at the budget cycle, we're just now getting prepared to start discussing the budget cycle for 2026. Or the budget for 2026, and if we went to 12 months, then that would land this right at the right time for us to be discussing budget for 2027. Speaking of budgets, I still don't understand how we're paying for this if this is outside of the fiscal year 2025 budget. So I would like to if anybody has an idea on how we pay for this, I'm all ears on that. And I'm not opposed to the project by any means, but we passed a budget last year for 2025, and this wasn't included in it. So anytime that we deviate from that budget, I don't think it's probably a good idea unless it's absolutely needed. I think that this would be a great idea rolling into 2026 fiscal year to maybe start it at the beginning of the fiscal year of 2026, or have it land. We can take a look at what the time cycle looks like on that, but my bigger concern here is that this is going to cost some kind of money. I know it does cost us a little bit of money every time we have a planning board meeting, and I would be interested to know how much that does cost. I don't think, Jan, you probably have a document for that one particular meeting, do you?
I did have some information, but I did not bring it with me. I have some information on that.
But I think that would be a good kind of watermark there to determine how much would it cost if this group decides they want to have charrettes and town halls, and we're telling them, as part of this, we're telling them that, hey, you need to do charrettes and town hall style meetings. And it would be all over the city. So there is some expense that is associated with this. How much, we don't know, and that's what I don't like about it. But I'm fine with the other things. I read the members must be residents or county residents who own city property or have paid a city business tax receipt. I assume that comes from the planning board.
No, I think we just decided we wanted to be able to get enough people that were qualified to sit on the committee, and in order to expand that pool of people who would be qualified, we wanted them to at least have some investment or interest in the city. So they either own city property or have a business tax license in the city.
Yes, you're just casting the net wider.
That's correct.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, but I also understand where somebody would want to have it just be city residents, and I guess I would support that as well. I don't have a problem either way with that one. That's really my comments on the issue, and I guess I'll yield back my time.
Thank you. Who's next?
So I'll just say that I'm appreciative of the work that the staff has done to bring this to us as requested. Share the concerns expressed about the budget in reference to this fiscal year. Look at putting this forward in the next fiscal year, but using this time to get prepped for that. Certainly, we've got a lot of work to do to address our parks. We've got more work than money and people.
Thank you. Mr. Street?
My comments echo a few. I'm good with a year. I think that's probably the appropriate amount of time to get through what you need to, especially if staff feels the same way. We do need to know the cost, obviously. That's going to be something that we've got to have. On the members must be city residents or county residents, I don't think, I'm okay with it being just city residents because of the criteria that's put thereafter. You're going to get expertise in the field. Now, if we can't get those experts that are city residents, then that's a different take. But I think there's probably enough city residents that can meet that qualification to get what we need to done accomplished. And you know, it's a sensitive issue, and so that's why I'm like, I kind of lean towards having resident representation because, you know, ultimately we're really talking about where people live. Yes, it is where people work and play, but at the end of the day, parks are heavily used by those of us that live inside the city limits. And so I think that is a good point that was made. And I think with the qualifications, we should be able to get somebody that's good. That's kind of my thoughts.
And Mayor, I'd like to add that the instruction includes reaching out to all citizens through surveys, charrettes. So these 5 people will not just be their opinion as to what happens or what they recommend forward, but this body would direct them to engage the citizens in determining the designation of premier parks, closures, and realignment.
Okay, thank you. I want to throw in my opinion a little bit. I would agree. I think we've both all kicked around city residents or county residents who own property. I think I'd agree with Mr. Street. I think I kind of like the city residents. I would do away with number 3. I think as far as we're concerned, the commission would choose people that were appropriate for understanding what kind of a job they were getting into. So I don't think that they should have to have experience in real estate, land management, parks operations, facility management. I think we want citizens. We want citizens that are, you know, willing to come to meetings and willing to reach out to their fellow citizens to try to get a consensus. So I would do away with number 3. I think this 12 months is a great idea. I think everybody's jumped on board with that. So we. Could I ask, Jonathan, if we started this thing June 1st, could you find a way to pay for it? Because I think those are legitimate concerns about paying for it, but at the same time, you know, we've putzed around with this for quite a while, and it would be nice to be able to get it off the ground.
I think we could. I don't know, Mr. Jones, if you have anything to add. I know that Parks and Rec falls under you.
Yeah, just thinking through this, like if you establish the committee, we could make some budgetary recommendations while we're in the current budget cycle. And so October 1, if we're it's all about scheduling. So if we were to schedule charrettes and town halls and those types of things, all the support documentation needed, marketing material, all of that, we could potentially budget for that this cycle. And then by fiscal year 26, have some monetary funds to support those activities. Depending on what you do with the third bullet point, like the qualifications, there may be an extended learning curve. So we could, you know, potentially take that opportunity to educate those folks that may not have that experience.
Okay, so we could do something, say, June 1st. I mean, we could choose some people and sort of get this thing off the ground. potentially.
So, to make sure I understand, Mr. Mayor, so you're saying in the month of May, y'all would, maybe at the first meeting, y'all would put forward your nominations and then...
Or June, we could do, okay.
So then we
go
wouldn't
ahead,
start
go
in
ahead.
June. If you want them to get started, y'all need to make the choices, and I believe, Madam Clerk, each nominate, but then the broad group has to approve it. And so y'all would want to do that in May, probably the first meeting, so you have time, Keith, as the staffer of that board, much like Michael Fuller is the staffer assigned to the planning board, be ready to go by June 1. Are you saying kick it off in June, or are you saying?
What you're saying is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I'd be fine either way. If you want to be able to hit the gas on June 1, then we probably need to address that maybe at the first meeting in May.
Well, if we started June 1 and hit the gas in August, that'd be okay, or July.
Yeah, we could look at bringing in the nominations at the first or second meeting in June and give them the plan to start August 1. I think that's also very reasonable. Or July 1 be reasonable.
Yeah, after the 4th.
After the 4th, yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's also very reasonable, sir.
Okay.
It'd be whatever you guys desire.
Sure.
I do think this is a really great idea, though, and I have said, I know comments were made, I do think we have way too many parks, and I would love for the community to help us analyze each and every one of our parks and make recommendations. Ultimately, the decision will fall to the commission on, if we do have too many, whereabouts, and where there's some consolidation options. And maybe this could even spill into some of the parcels we have too around the city. So I think this is great, and I love the fact that it's going to be led with community input, with staff working with the community representatives.
Okay. Since everybody got to speak once, why don't we all speak a second time? We've kicked it around a little bit. Does anybody want anything else to say? You're good?
I would want, in addition to the deliverables that have already been asked for, I would want to know what staff estimated budget for this would be as well. I'm not asking for it right now.
Yeah, we could probably bring that back in April, maybe the second meeting in April or the first. I mean, I don't think that's something we could probably back of the napkin, don't you think, Madam Clerk?
I have something at the office already, I just don't have it with me.
Okay, I'm just asking it to be included. That's all I'm asking.
I can email it out to everybody.
Okay.
At one of the previous meetings.
So we're pretty good with city residents. Is it the majority of us okay with city residents? If you don't, say something, please.
I think with me, just some sort of qualification, and I'm open to changing that qualification, but I think some kind of qualification would be helpful.
Besides city resident?
On the next item, because I think where you're going to go next is asking for the real estate, land development, parks and maintenance operations facility or property management to be removed.
Okay, are we okay with two?
Yes, as long as we have another qualification.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're okay on 1 and 2, and we're up to number 3. Who wants to speak?
I mean,
Numero uno, huh?
Do we need to open it up?
Yes, let's open it up to
experience and proficiency of real estate, land development, parks, maintenance, facility, property management, and what other criteria?
Okay, you got anything?
No, whatever would widen the net to be acceptable.
Mr. Granger, do you have anything to throw in there?
I was fine striking that portion because I figure each one of us would find somebody, so we'd have our own. I'm not gonna put somebody on the board that I don't think is, willing to put in the time, effort, and has the ability to provide good feedback. So,
Ms. Lucas, do you have anything you want to add at this point?
I agree with the approach that Commissioner Granger has just said, because each of us is going to find someone.
Yes, ma'am, I would agree 100%, just what you just said, because I think we'll research this thing. We're not going to put somebody that doesn't know anything about it or is not interested. That's where I would go.
That's why we make it together.
The deliverables that we're asking them, additional skill sets could include community engagement.
Yes.
Facilitation, because of the process that we're asking them to undertake to bring questions and answers back to us.
Excellent. And we would probably be the best judge of that, I guess. I would hope.
Each of us has one to put forward.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we're sort of, on number 3, we're just going to get rid of number 3. And number 4, we're okay? I'm not sure what a premier park is, but we can do this and we'll find out. But I think what Jonathan said about, we've talked about this a long time. We got too many parks. We need to slim them down, get the stuff we can handle. And I think we're all in favor of that.
So what some cities have done is they pick a particular park in certain areas. In ours, we have wards. So like I have 3 parks in all of Ward 3.
We're going to give you all of them.
Yeah, exactly. So in Ward 3, we have the Harvey Mathis Walking Park, and it's a very big park, and that's where all the nice things go because it's one of 3. And the other one is a very, very tiny park that's actually smaller than this room, and it's Sunset Park. Right now, it's being used as a laydown yard. But the point is that you kind of take 1 or 2 major parks in an area, and you kind of point all of your resources at that and do it really, really, really nice. That's kind of the idea of a premier park.
Sounds great to me. Mr. Street, do you have anything you want to add? Ms. Lucas?
The language was good as is.
Okay. And we like the idea of number 5. I think we added 12 months to it, but otherwise we're pretty happy with the whole thing. Okay. Let's see. Do we need a motion on this to put it together, Mr. Lawyer?
I think
Or can we just give some
direction.
direction? Pardon?
I think Jonathan has some direction. And then they'll just come back.
Okay.
Okay, you got the direction, Jonathan?
I do. We got all of this, and we'll work to bring it back, I think, for the...
Let the record show this is the first time Nevin Zimmerman has said that we don't need a motion for something.
I know. I really don't know what to do right now. Yeah, I would, much like the other boards, I mean, we again, there will be a staff liaison, and that will be the Parks Culture and Rec Director. I imagine in a lot of things that they do, I mean, that legal will be involved because, we want to make sure that, because some parks are going to be deed restricted, where we can't get rid of them, we can't surplus them, we can't sell them. And so we want to make sure that we don't have any effort, get down a path pretty quick, or anybody go down a path too quick without realizing it can't be done. And so, I mean, I want this to be done, decently and in order in a very official capacity, because this is a big deal. I mean, this is going to spark lots of opinions and emotions. It'll probably be a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but again, I think for the long-term health of the city, this is the right thing to do. And again, I think it's great that it's going to be a combined effort between staff and the community, ultimately with the people's representatives making the final decision.
Okay, you've got your direction, so
yeah,
I recommend though the parks that we have that by law we cannot divest ourselves from.
Make that known right up front.
Absolutely, yep. But then ask this group, hey, what alternative uses could we do there? Right, saying things like neighborhood gardens or what have you, that maybe a member of that neighborhood could tend to, rather than our staff constantly having to tend to it.
Yes, sir. Did you have a question of clarification, Mr. Jones?
I want to make sure I've got everything the board has decided here. So the first bullet point was fine. The second, its members must be city residents, period. The third bullet point has been eliminated. The fourth is fine as is, and the last bullet point is just a 12-month time frame, and that's the only alterations to this document?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Great.
All right, moving on. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir. All right. Item number 9A is consideration to approve the temporary daily closure of the northern side of the intersection of Cherry Street and North Harris Avenue. images on your screen, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Enclosed for the Commission's consideration is a request to allow the staff at Cherry Street Elementary to set out temporary traffic control, TTC devices, to prevent access to North Harris Avenue at the intersection of Cherry Street. The school has informed the city that blocking this access allows for more organized drop-off and pickup process and also enhances student safety during these times. These TTC devices would only be in place from the hours of 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. while school is in session and for summer school. Blocking for special events outside of normal school hours would also be considered for approval by the city with a minimum of 10 days' notice provided to the city by Cherry Street Elementary staff. A map of the subject intersection with the location of the street blockage is included in your attachment on the screen. For situational awareness, a similar agreement was established between the city and Holy Nativity Episcopal School in July of 2015 at Hamilton Avenue between Holy Nativity's circular driveway and the city service alley. You have the excerpt from the July 18th, 2015 City Commission meeting in your packet. Several folks during the public comment noted that we did have a town hall last night. Commissioner Halligus, as this is in her ward, was supportive of this, but wanted us to be consistent and mirror it after what we did for Holy Nativity. But we wanted to meet with the community in advance, and so that's what we did last night, and we got some really good feedback. I think the only change that we're proposing for this is that, and this is at my request with Commissioner Halligus's concurrence, is that y'all only approve this to be through May 31st of 2025, and then we'll bring it back this summer and start talking about a more long-term plan. We got some great feedback, some other options to consider. None of this was going to be implemented before school is out at the end of May. Additionally, Ms. Carrie Weatherly, the principal of Cherry Street Elementary, is here. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Ms. Weatherly also came to City Hall last night and participated in the town hall with Commissioner Halligus and myself and the community and the residents in the Cove around her school, and I know that was deeply appreciated. So that's all on this particular item, Mr. Mayor, unless y'all have any questions of myself or Ms. Weatherly.
Ms. Weatherly, can you come up and talk to us? Looks like you're ready.
Thank you so much, Commissioners, Mayor Rohan.
Just name and title.
I'm Carrie Weatherly. I am the principal at Cherry Street Elementary School. I am also very appreciative to have been invited yesterday to the town hall meeting. As a school in the middle of the Cove, we want to be good neighbors. We want to be respectful of the residents in that area, and so hearing their concerns as well was appreciated.
Yeah, and I apologize. I forgot to mention, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, so this was blocked off as part of the Cherry Street Streetscapes project, and it's been closed off for about 18 months, and it did help out, but the project is done, and so we took up those Jersey concrete barricades today at 3 p.m. I left that point out. Sorry, Ms.
That's all right. About 20 months ago, when the construction started, we at that time had to really analyze our traffic pattern, and so we had to make a change when that construction started. So at the time, what we thought would be a major inconvenience actually turned out to enhance the safety and security of the school. We were able to implement a one point of entry, which in today's world, in a school environment, is extremely important that we're able to control access of anyone coming in and out in the mornings during arrival and drop-off. So it allowed us to have one point of entry and enhance safety and security. We also changed the traffic pattern, which allows us to get the students into the school faster and safer in the morning, as well as in the afternoon. So about 20 minutes in the morning, about 20 minutes in the afternoon, we have all of the kids safely either off campus or on campus. And so as a result of the construction, we actually have a more efficient process in place currently. The families are used to the traffic pattern now because that road has been blocked off for the last year and a half. And so it's allowed us to enhance that. Most of our students, a majority of our students, are car riders or walkers at this time because of that 2-mile zone that the school transports. So we only have 2 buses currently. So many of our students are walkers or car riders. So I appreciate your consideration to allow us to block that off during school hours, and appreciate your time. We feel like the safety and security of the students in that area and the efficiency of the traffic pattern at this time is much more beneficial than opening that during the school hours at this point.
Well, the concrete, you said, has been removed, so what's there to keep cars from running through there?
So the school has some, what we call the TTCs, the temporary traffic control devices.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to, I'm assuming they're plastic and easy to move.
We do. They're, if you've been through the Chick-fil-A drive-through, they have the yellow ones, we have blue ones. They look just like that. They stand on their own. My custodian in the morning will be responsible for bringing those out to make sure that traffic is blocked off, and then in the afternoon, my administrator and I will make sure they're removed once everybody is off campus.
So I guess that just started, getting rid of the concrete ones. And so we'll see if the plastic ones work.
Yes, we will.
Are they, okay, they're light.
They're sturdy and they're heavy, and they're probably stand about this tall. So we have about 5 of them in a chain that connects them, so it'll be easy to move them into the intersection and easy to remove them when we need to.
Has there been any complaints from the people that live on the east side there? The east side of Harrison, right, of Harris Avenue? You know, there's a block that has houses there, so they would obviously have only one way to go in and out.
There is. I have not personally had any complaints. Some did express some concern yesterday during our town hall meeting with some other ideas that I think City Manager Hayes will share probably this summer. My hesitation right now is we only have 9 weeks of school left this year, and trying to change a traffic pattern this late in the year and when we're this close to the end of the year is extremely disruptive. It took us a good month when the construction started to get the parents used to this is the way we need you to come in. I did hear some comments from some of the residents yesterday that some of our parents may have forgotten what that route is because we're at the school at Dismissal. Can we see what's happening at the four-way stop at Second and Harris? So we're going to push out some messaging to our parents because we do have a map that was generated actually by your staff when the construction started to help communicate to our parents the traffic flow. So we're going to push that out again to remind them of the proper traffic pattern when they're coming through the neighborhood so that we can slow some of them down and make sure they're being respectful of the other drivers.
Well, thank you. Up on the other end of Harris, should we put a sign that says?
Already done.
It's already, that says
Yes,
it's
sir.
closed during school?
Yeah, no through traffic during school hours or something like that. And that was some of the feedback, was try to catch them at the north end up near, is that Second Court or Second Street? What's the first one? I can't remember.
I think
Or what's the
court? Like right behind us.
Some of the feedback we got, and Ms. Weatherly's going to communicate with her parents, but, we've got some people that are kind of driving around the line. We've got some ideas to maybe long-term create a more permanent entrance off of Cove Boulevard. I think 3rd Street was talked about coming in to do that. Also asking parents please not to block the driveways as they're waiting in line along Harris. Those are just some being a little bit more considerate when folks need to kind of back out. But the one key thing is anybody that lives along Harris, even though they're forced to drive north, nobody's access to their home is restricted if you live along that stretch of Harris. So
that's good, yeah.
And again, this is only, I would want y'all to specifically only approve this through May 31st of this year so that we can get together with Ms. Weatherly and the community and the new commissioner for Ward 1, because there'll be a new commissioner in Ward 1, as Ms. Halligus is not running again, as you all know. And then we'll bring back probably sometime in late July, early August at the latest, more of a long-term solution.
Good, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to?
Mayor, I move we approve.
Pardon?
I move we approve.
Second. Okay. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, item 9B is consideration of approval of Resolution 2025-0325.1 in support of the city's grant application to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection Agency, or DEP, Florida Boating Improvement Grant Program. At the December 10th, 2024 City Commission meeting, the commission voted to issue a task order to design and permit improvements and expansion of the downtown Marina boat ramp. This effort was undertaken with the understanding that grant applications are more successful with shovel-ready plans. The city is ready to reapply for the Florida Boating Improvement Program grant. This application requires a resolution of support from this body. Staff recommendation through the Director of Parks, Culture, and Recreation and the City Manager's Office that the Commission adopt Resolution 202-50325.1 in support of the city's application to the FDEP FBIP grant. And I believe we have the rendering, Jerome, of what we're kind of looking to do with the boat ramp as well as the parking. So it'll be both enhanced and enlarged to allow multiple boaters in a more organized fashion to go and come, as well as, I want to say, it's either 46 or 48 boat trailer parking specifically to the kind of to the east of that, but also, depending on the more long-term plans of the marina, there could be additional boat trailer parking eventually as well. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. I thought that we were going to, it says in here we're going to improve the Panama City Marina boat ramp, and then it says we're going to replace it. So is it getting replaced? And you show up here, you show two boat ramps, and I don't think there's going to be two boat ramps. I think there's only going to be one. So my question is, we're totally replacing it, is what it says here, and it shows a diagram or a schematic here of two boat ramps. So what's the deal? Are we going to have two boat ramps?
Well, it's just going to be enlarged, sir, and then we're basically going to put like a boardwalk in the middle, kind of similar to what we did at Snug Harbor, so you can easily get to three different sides, either the south side, the middle side, or the north side, and we will widen it. Some of the concrete will remain and some will be added. I know they're also looking at potentially working on kind of that steep drop-off, and so I think the answer is all of the above. I mean, there's going to be some replacement, there's going to be some of the concrete will remain. We're not going to rip out everything. And then you'll see here, so I think if you kind of look, there's kind of a middle line that kind of shows the existing ramp kind of in the middle of the top one, and so we're going to add some additional space to it, and then put that, again, that raised boardwalk in the middle to make it easier for multiple boats to go and come at one time, because as you know, this commission has remained committed to, protecting that boat ramp and access for the community.
Okay, what this is these diagrams and renderings are to send this to the FWC to see if we're going to get a grant.
To get a grant, yes. And as we talked about, design plans, I think it's appropriate for local governments to have a little skin in the game. And so, with enterprise funds, not with general fund dollars, we design this, and that we'll be able to submit the application with design plans, which will make us, more competitive in that grant process for construction dollars.
Thank you. Anybody else want to discuss this? Okay, is there a motion? Oh, it's a resolution. Do we need a motion for a resolution?
Yes.
Okay, we need a
motion.
Thank you.
I motion we approve the resolution.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? I want to be on record. I think it's a bad idea because we have Woods and Associates are doing something down there, and I don't think we've coordinated well with them exactly what we're going to do, because I'm not sure we know what we're going to do.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, we actually have coordinated with Woods and Partners. We gave them this rendering, and they worked this into the broader rendering that they did.
Okay.
Yeah, and we told them that southern part, like that is dedicated to be boat trailer access and necessary traffic flow and boat trailer for parking. So anything that happens to the marina, any changes to this is going to require specific approval, because I believe, Mr. Zimmerman, through resolution, the commission has kind of enshrined this boat ramp to remain here without a change to that. Is that correct, sir?
There is a resolution concerning the boat ramp and how many spaces to have dedicated close by.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to clear that, Mr. Mayor.
I would like to see the renderings, but we don't have them now, I'm sure. Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
No.
Motion passes 3-1.
Commission has adopted Resolution 2025-0325.1, a resolution of the City of Panama City supporting the application for a Florida Boating Improvement Program grant funding for the downtown boat ramp improvement project.
Item 9C is consideration to approve Barge Design Solutions, or Barge, task order for Area D14, D15 improvements to provide CEI services in the amount of up to $387,280, proposed at the standard hourly rate listed in the task order. As background information, the City of Panama City will soon commence construction to improve Area D14 and D15, located in the St. Andrews area south of 14th Street, north of 11th Street, west of Arthur Avenue, and east of Friendship Avenue. Barge provided engineering services on the project and thus have intimate knowledge of the project design and overall scope of work. Barge will be tasked with construction inspection, coordination, reporting, progress payment records, inspection of completed work and final records, and it's estimated that a combined total of 55 hours per week for 57 weeks will be associated with implementing this task. Details of the work to be performed is attached. Staff recommendation through the Director of Public Works is that the Commission approve this request.
Is there a motion to approve the task order for SRF Area D14 and D15? And this is a task order for construction, engineering, and inspection services on barge project number 37711GN.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Smith, is there any discussion? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Owen?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item 9D is consideration to approve the special event application for food trucks, or a food truck, singular, on St. Andrews Marina every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from May 23rd of 2025 to August 17th, 2025, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the St. Andrews Marina, sponsored by the city. For the Commission's consideration, encloses an application for a food truck at the St. Andrews Marina. The proposed event again would take place every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from May 23rd, 2025 through August 17th of 2025, operating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The event will feature a rotating selection of food trucks with one truck stationed at a time near the city marina store each day. That site map is included. During the busy snapper season from May 23rd to August 17th, visitors to the St. Andrews Marina, particularly those fishing or arriving by boat, have expressed interest in having convenient food options available. Given the diverse offerings of the participating food trucks, we believe this initiative will complement rather than compete with the existing businesses around the marina. I'll just add anecdotally, actually, I think it's actually going to be 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., so I apologize, the agenda item is incorrect. 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. I just want to clarify, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is one at a time. We're not bringing a bunch of food trucks out there. I do know that there were some questions raised by some of the community to myself and to Commissioner Street, and so I felt that it was appropriate that this come before this body. As you all know, we have some limitations on what we can do with food trucks on both of our marinas outside of special events, and so I wanted to give the opportunity for the Commission to weigh in on this and give the ultimate approval. I do think, given these parameters, though, the fact that it's one truck and it's all the way out on the very end of the L dock during a specific fishing season, again, staff recommends approval through the PCR Director of the City Manager's Office. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the special event application for food truck on St. Andrews Marina every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from May 23rd through August 17th, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
I'll motion to approve with one modification.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Let's have a discussion. Mr. Street?
Yeah, the modification is the merchant license fee that's currently not required. We don't have a way to actually require that from food trucks, but we do when it's on public property. So that was the only thing I think that you guys didn't get addressed in the proposal. And so I don't know if that's a possibility.
So yes. Do you want to have the merchants, you want to impose the merchants?
Yeah, so the way that it works, and we've had this conversation a couple times, like love our food trucks, want our food trucks to go. We don't have an ability to actually require a business license unless they're on public property. And so I think that was the mechanism that was supposed to kind of be going in.
Yeah, we'll work with our business services department. And Commissioner Street, I do want to note, because you asked when we were giving you the briefing, these food trucks will pay a $50 fee as well.
I saw you guys had everything addressed that was expressed to me from the restaurateurs. I think the only thing left is just like even the playing field on as far as from a business license perspective, which, as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't take very long to do. Is that correct?
No, that's an easy process. We can work with our business services division to shepherd that through and make sure that they collect the merchant fee.
So we're adding a merchant fee to this thing, or you?
Just requiring the same things required for every restaurant on just the business license perspective.
Can a food truck get a license?
They can, we can't force them to.
Yeah, it's preempted by the state. But if we use public property, we do have the ability to require that. And I think that was a reasonable request from the restaurant owners that, hey, look, if we're going to do this, like, can we at least make sure they do the same thing as everybody else? Made sense.
And I just want to make sure I'm meeting expectations when we talk to the business license department. We are just collecting the 1% gross sales fee, correct?
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Because that's the only thing that's collected from any establishment, correct?
No.
No, there's an application fee and some other, there's some hoops to jump through to get the merchant license.
So whatever it takes to keep it condensed and simple so that we can get people in compliance.
Yeah, that's why I'm making the suggestion that we just collect the 1% gross sales fee.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I think that's what the direction is, right?
2 questions. Is it going to be the same food truck per weekend?
No, ma'am. It will rotate. They're different ones.
She means for 3 days in a row.
Sunday, it'll be.
Oh, I see what, yeah, so it'll be the same one per weekend, and then the next weekend, 1, 2, 3, it'll be a different food truck for 3 days.
Okay, what is the chance that a food truck will get a second or third turn doing this?
Probably quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, because there are a lot of food trucks.
There are.
There are, and I think where I've kind of gotten in the conversation with the restaurant owners, like, there's not this big antithesis with food trucks. I mean, it's not like that. But we do have a lot of food trucks that there has been no way to like actually do any kind of compliance check with. And so this will provide us an opportunity just to create some organization to it, not trying to do a government overreach. Everybody's doing the same thing. I think it's a good simple request for us to kind of get everybody on the same page.
Well, I was just anticipating that we not set up a situation where we get complaints because, XYZ food truck is there every weekend and nobody else gets it.
Oh, yeah.
So this is 12 weekends. We are hoping for 12 different food trucks.
Thank you.
What does a business license cost? Because you said they've got to get a business license.
Depends on the business.
It varies depending on the type of business.
How about food truck business?
We don't currently collect it because our business services, our merchant fee and our business tax receipt is based on a physical location. Since food trucks don't have a physical location, they move around, they're mobile. We don't currently require them to get a business tax receipt.
We're going to charge
What's the
them
lowest
$50.
one? What's the lowest fee that we charge,
I
Brandy?
think $50.
How much?
I think 50, but.
Then I would
could be
recommend
wrong.
we charge $50.
Well, I would say just roll that into the cost of the $50 you already charged them. We're charging them $50, right? So.
Right, but my understanding is, in
that's
order to
$100?
put them into the system to collect the merchant fee, they need to get this business license.
We could put the St. Andrews Marina as their physical location, for that weekend and have it run through the event organizer. I know that's kind of like what used to happen with the DIB when they did Friday Fest with the vendors down there. We could definitely look at that, but currently our business tax receipts are set up by the business's physical location.
Could I make a suggestion? So $50 is the equivalent of $5,000 in sales. So if you just came up with a flat number that you guys were comfortable with, or did you want to do $50 per day, just to make it simple, or just do a flat?
I was just trying to keep it simple. I think it's getting a little bit more complicated than what it.
So that's why I made the suggestion, can we just collect the 1% and then charge them the event fee at $50?
I think that's the case. So let's do you're getting charged an event fee already.
Yeah.
So collect the 1% and you're clear. And it gives you an opportunity to go through this application checklist, which includes temporary food service permit, all the things that are required by state law to do that there's been no way to check. And so I would encourage food trucks to go through this. It's basically just making sure, I mean, even food truck operators want people to do it the right way. Like, so it's not anything, but I think we just simplified it. You've got the special event side of it, and then you've got the just 1%, and I think that's reasonable.
So the event thing would be $50 and then pay 1%. Okay. Any other discussion? Did we have?
They're not paying
Oh, we did have a
1%, they're collecting the 1% for the city, to be clear.
yeah.
We're not charging the food truck a 1%, they're collecting the
They're collecting
1%
it
for
for
the
us.
city,
Yeah.
for you to spend, Mr. Mayor.
I got you.
It's up to their discretion, but generally, yes.
Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Item 9F is the report on the morning and evening city commission meeting attendance. At the July 23rd, 2024,
Mr. Mayor, point of order. Skipped.
You skipped E.
9E.
oh, did I? Oh, I sure did, I apologize, thank you, I turned too many pages. Item 9E is consideration to approve an easement agreement with Florida Power and Light Company, FPL, for the installation of a transformer on city-owned property at the MLK Rec Center. As background information for the Commission's consideration, attached is an easement agreement with Florida Power and Light for the installation of a transformer on city-owned property at the MLK Rec Center. This agreement is necessary to facilitate the placement and ongoing maintenance of the transformer in the designated area. Under the terms of the agreement, the city will grant FPL a non-exclusive easement for the construction, operation, and maintenance of overhead and underground electrical utility facilities. Exhibit A, I believe we have a map for the screen, on the new MLK Rec Center complex. Staff recommendation through the PCR Director and City Manager's Office that the Commission approve this request for the easement.
Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the easement with FP&L for the installation of a transformer on city-owned property at the MLK Rec Center?
I move to approve.
A second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right, 9F for real this time. Apologies again. Report on morning and evening City Commission meeting attendance. At the July 23rd, 2024 City Commission meeting, the City Commission moved and voted to hold one morning and one evening regularly scheduled meeting starting in August. The second Tuesday of the month is the morning meeting and the fourth is the evening meeting. Included in the motion was requirement for staff to bring back an evaluation of attendance in March of 2025. Staff has tracked attendance at all regularly scheduled meetings since August 27th of 2024 of all non-employee general public attendees. Analysis, the data shows that the morning meetings tend to have slightly higher attendance by an average of 5. However, what drives higher attendance are the items up for adoption or discussion on that particular agenda. For example, at the morning meeting on August 13th of 2024, attendance was 50. However, allowing golf carts in St. Andrews and downtown was on the agenda. So in conversations with each of you and just my own just kind of analysis of this, I think continuing with one morning meeting and one evening meeting, beginning at 4 p.m. For that is appropriate. I think we have seen, maybe not necessarily additional attendees, we have seen different types of people at times that come in, but again, I think the higher point is that it is really driven by what's on the agenda. So, keeping one in the morning and one in the evening, other municipalities around Bay County do that, but if you wanted to move them both back to 8 a.m., you could do that as well. So,
All right, would
this is the
anyone up
data
here-
y'all requested, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone up here like to make a motion, and they can make a motion however they want it?
I think keeping it the way that it is fine.
Okay, so your motion is to keep it,
You don't need a motion for that.
Yeah, we just.
I heard a second down here. Okay. Any further, we don't need a, just what we don't
Point
need?
of order was, I'm sorry, the question was whether we needed a motion.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
motion to do this was to a time certain.
What was it?
For 6 months.
I don't know that there was, I know y'all requested to bring data back, so I believe, Mr. Zimmerman, if they don't do anything, that we continue without additional direction from the commission. We'll continue with the first meeting.
It's always good to make a motion.
Always good to make a
There you go.
What have you done with that?
There you go, Commissioner Granger.
I'll make a motion to not change anything.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Can you, what was the motion?
To not change anything, just leave it the way it is.
Same time.
Morning and evening.
Yes, ma'am.
First meeting, morning, second meeting, 4 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right, and then we added item 9G specifically for the first meeting in April, April 8th, currently scheduled for 8 a.m. And I'll defer momentarily to Commissioner Granger, but he has a conflict with his full-time job outside of the commission. And given that that is going to be the report where I bring back transportation impact fees following the roundtable, and the fact that a number of the biggest issues in and around transportation impact fees affect his ward, he is requesting, and staff is concurring, that we move just this one time, the April 8th meeting to begin at 4 p.m. Commissioner?
Thank you, Jonathan. I mean, you heard I have a conflict with my regular full-time job and the morning meeting, so I'm just here to ask if y'all would be willing to move that one meeting to the afternoon so that I could attend.
Didn't we also talk about the transportation, since this was transportation, that we could move it back to the last meeting in April? Wasn't that one of the other options, or am I?
So I'm supposed to report back, because I have a roundtable next meeting that was requested here, and I'm going to report back in a more organized.
But we're not voting.
But you're not voting on it, but it is going to be a time of discussion. I want to be clear. I'm reporting back, and y'all at that point, based on the feedback that I've gotten and the actual written proposal, y'all may decide to proceed with April 24th being the second and final reading, or it is your prerogative to move that out to a further date. But on April 8th, no voting, but I am bringing back the specific recommendations and the final recommendations after all of the feedback that we've received. That was the motion at the last meeting.
So when is that transportation talk that you're talking about?
I'm having a roundtable next Wednesday at 3 p.m.
So it'll be before April 8th?
It will be before April 8th, yes.
So I have.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
So I have a conflict on the 8th in the evening.
Oh.
So, like,
I can't solve the problem.
Yeah, like, so I think it's going to be one of us. So I'll be out. I mean, whichever one. So.
Can we not talk about transportation on the 8th? Would that?
Yeah,
it sounds like that would make you.
That would require a motion, because right now y'all have moved for me to bring back a report and an actual kind of what our recommendations are, so that y'all can make a determination whether we address those and vote on the 24th or move it.
Postpone the item?
One time we postponed.
Yeah, it just happened to be one time that we both have a conflict.
So is there a motion to move the transportation talk to the second meeting in April?
A motion to move the requirement for the transportation impact fee feedback to the next meeting in April.
A second.
And so just by that action, that will not put the second reading on April 24th, then, correct, Mr. Zimmerman?
So I'll modify my motion to include further pushing out the
second reading.
The second reading of the transportation impact fee to the first meeting in May.
You could do that, or you could just say to be established at
the 24th.
At April 24th.
Which is what we had said.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't have to set a date yet for the second reading.
Okay. Well then, I guess I'll motion for us to move the requirement for the transportation impact fee report to the 24th of April, and that will we'll establish a time for the second reading on the 24th of April.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll miss your.
And leave the meeting at 8 a.m., right? And leave the meeting at 8 a.m.
And leave the meeting at 8 a.m. And I'll just, present.
Is the second meeting in April, the 24th for sure? Okay.
It is, and it will be at 4 p.m.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Smith, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right.
I motion we adjourn.
Is there a second? All right. Ms. Smith, call the roll.
Commissioner Lucas?
Yes.
Commissioner Granger?
Yes.
Commissioner Street?
Yes.
Mayor Rowan?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.